When you become a coach, nobody tells you that you're also signing up to be a salesperson. I know I didn't realize it. And in today's episode, I'm going to share five very specific strategies that I use to help selling not feel like selling and to make it feel very authentic, genuine, and also convert. And stick around because the fifth one has been the biggest game changer for me in the last few years. Welcome to this week's episode of the Best Damn Coach podcast. It's Amanda. Welcome. If this is your first episode ever finding this podcast, I am so grateful you're here. I'm excited for you to connect with me and come in every week with me to talk about all the amazing things we get to do as coaches, how to grow our businesses as coaches. And if you are a returner, I am so grateful that you show up every week. If you haven't hit the subscribe button so that the episodes come to you hand delivered. It's like me showing up at your door knocking like, "Hey, here you go. Here's another bite-sized moment of wisdom." And truly, I work really hard to be super intentional with the content here so that you listen in less than 20 minutes and are taking away some things that are really profound. As most of my episodes do, they're inspired by some recent conversation with a client, former client, current client, that was so intriguing to me that it was like, oh yeah, I got to bring this to the show. I was at an event, actually, I was celebrating one of my best friends in the world, cancer-free 10-year journey. She was I was just like, we've been through a lot in life, and we were celebrating her being 10 years cancer-free. And I met a client through her years ago, and as we were chit-chatting, she said, "I just like, I cannot get used to this idea of marketing myself. It's really hard to talk about myself. Selling is not natural." And then on a BDC call, one of my amazing students, as she hears this, she's gonna say, "Oh my gosh, that was me." She's like, "I still can't get over this sleaziness sometimes. Like, how do I make selling feel genuine?" And so what I thought I would do is tap into my banks, my brain banks, and really talk to you about the things that I feel help me feel genuine in sales. I will say when I became a coach, selling felt extremely foreign. And coming off the heels of the conversation around resistance, I had so much resistance to selling. It was the process. It felt clunky. I was overthinking. There's this inherent money thing that you have to work on around your value, your worth as services, and selling something. Man, I could sell somebody else's stuff because I wasn't personally tied to it. My worthiness, my value wasn't attached. And so I just want to say, my heart, like, I feel you on that. And when we decided to coach, I mean, I never really thought about, nobody told me there's also this like thing you're signing up to do. You have to be a salesperson. I definitely didn't realize it. And I know those of you that are working on growing your businesses are starting to feel this. So I create this content for you because I want selling to feel effortless and easy. And I think there are some simple things that you can really do to help this along, but also like most things, get the reps. You have to go out there and get the reps. If you want to be better at sales calls, you need to do more sales calls. If you want to be better at back squatting, you need to do more back squats. If you want to be better at parenting, then you have to go in and you need to parent more and study parenting. I do believe that if we were to look at your business in total, this is my rough estimate. If we were to look at like everything you do in business as 100%, I think 80% of the time is learning to market yourself or do some sort of brain rewiring or identification of traits, behaviors that are necessary to market. And even if you have a great client base, if you just abandon a sales piece altogether, then what's going to happen is you're going to serve the clients that are in front of you wonderfully. And then all of a sudden, you're going to have no clients because you didn't continue work on the selling piece. So, selling something you created, something tied to your identity, your gifts, your value, that is completely different for me than selling someone else's stuff. And so, we all get to work on it together because it's a whole new thing. So I thought what I do is actually boil this down to five specific things that I feel like I do. I kind of looked at my life, my business, the things that I have done that have got me here, to make selling feel something I feel like I can relentlessly do and feel really good about it and really genuine all the time. And you're listening and you might think, sometimes I don't like the way Amanda sells. And that's okay because part of this is take what I say, run it through your filter and modify it. And you're going to build this momentum for yourself and your business. And that's what I want it to be for you. Everybody sells differently. The things that repel me about selling personally are like this smoke and mirrors, fake, shiny stuff. And then it's like a bait and switch. I've been sold to that way where I thought I was going into something and then it was not that thing. I also get like this inner like yuck very quickly in situations where salespeople themselves are also not feeling authentic. I've been in a situation where I've been buying a high dollar vehicle and I just was like, I need a new salesperson because I needed to be with someone who I felt was genuine. At the end, I knew they were trying to sell to me. I knew they were going to make money off of me. I have no problem with that, but I need to feel a genuine connection with someone if I'm going to spend a high dollar ticket. And I think you're that same way. Your clients want to feel genuine with you before they say yes, and I want you to feel genuine with me. However, and there are some strategic things we can do in order to feel better with selling in general. Many of us, though, we come into sales with preloaded beliefs and experiences from things that have happened to you, how you were raised, maybe the way your family talked about salespeople, how selling was modeled for you. You might have seen people constantly in sales, and so you're really great with it. Like I have women who come into my world that worked in corporate sales and now are coaching, and they're like crushing it because that's a part of the process. I myself, not so much, right? So I think before we can go into like the deep tangible stuff is the foundation of everything that we talk about after this is you have to reframe your own personal programming around selling. This is the foundation. And without it, every strategy I think that follows will feel kind of harder. And so, what I've learned to do is not to see it as selling. Like I've had to actually get away. I don't like to refer to the way I talk about clients at all as sales internally within the company, also externally in my emails. I also don't like to set my goals based on dollar amount metrics. I like to base them around people served. And I think at the end of the day, my internal belief is God gave me these gifts to be used to help other women make money and live the life they desire. And so I look at selling instead as I'm giving somebody a solution that's going to get them faster to the thing that they want. So this will not happen overnight, but I want you to reach for what's called a ladder thought or a bridge thought that is going to stop addressing this whole conversation as selling if it's keeping you stuck and into something that feels super congruent and aligned and gets you excited to put your coaching services in the hands of the people that are talking to you. So a great neutral place to start is something like, hey, I'm curious how it would feel to think about selling as something different. Or it could be like, I'm open to think about what I could call selling that is different from what I'm thinking of it now. But now I also have this belief that every time I make a coaching offer, I get clients. So every time I send an email, a new client comes in. Every time I have a sales call, a new client comes in. And so it's not about necessarily the sale per se. I know it's a very subtle difference. It's about like the person instead of the dollar amount. And the dollar is just this byproduct. So there's an entire energy shift here. And you have to be in that energy. So when I sit down to record a podcast like I am right now, when I sit down to send an email, to post on social, to take a sales call, I had to work and retrain my mind to genuinely believe that the person on the other end is so freaking excited to talk to me. And it changed me. It changed my energy so much that like every person I talk to on the other side is like, Amanda, I can't, oh my gosh, this is so amazing. Thank you. And so that belief changes everything about how you show up around selling. And so any strategy you use becomes easier the moment your subconscious belief around selling stops fighting against you and you offer it a new belief that's going to serve you to lean into the quote unquote selling portion a lot more effortlessly. So, homework step number one, what's that thought going to be for you? You can think of it as you're listening, doing laundry, walking right now, jot it in your notes app, write it down on a piece of paper, whatever that comes for you. Number two, kind of started alluding to this, but the second thing I do is I get into the right energy state before I sell. And this hasn't always been. I've definitely had moments where I was, like, getting on a sales call. If you could see me right now, my hands were shaking. I was, like, gonna vomit. My heart was racing, and I was already in this low state, like, "Oh, they're gonna say no." And inevitably, what would happen? They would say no because I was not prepared. My energy probably didn't sound very good on the other end. I didn't feel confident, and then I'd be crying on the floor in my office, like, "What did I do wrong?" So we have to be aware of that because how you show up, the tone of your voice, the way you connect on a sales call in an email, or a great example of this is on a workshop or a webinar, that is felt through the screen, that is felt through the phone or the DM conversation. And so there's a couple things that I like to do to kind of change that state, right? State is basically the physiology of your actual body. Are your shoulders back? Is your chest high? Are you proud? But also what you're saying internally, because you can look that on the outside, but internally, if you are distracted by all the negative BS you're telling yourself, I promise you're not going to be present on the call or on the webinar. So, for really high energy sales moments, like selling on a webinar for me or during launches, I have shared this on social. Maybe you've seen it, but I literally play my walk up song, which is Whitney Houston's I Want to Dance with Somebody. I crank it up in my office and I literally just shake and dance and move around and get into this super high vibration state. I love that song. It brings back great memories and it helps me kind of get my nerves, get the blood flowing, little lymphatic drainage along the way, and it like does my body good. And now I can sit down at a webinar and be at the highest energy, just like the people I'm teaching, coaching deserve. For sales calls, I do a little something softer. The reason being is sometimes the person on the other end is very soft spoken, sometimes they're high energy. My goal, your goal on a sales call is to meet that person where they're at. Because if that person's super soft and I come in like, I'm so excited to see you. Oh my gosh, all these things, it's going to feel very like, oh, like I broke rapport with them. So you don't want to be too amped. You want to be present and approachable and feel very confident about the coach that service you delivered. So sometimes I give a little prayer before I start. Sometimes I'll play some soft music or just like shake it out. But I think with more reps, also some of these situations you'll need less and it might be, you know, a little softer preparation to get into that state. I kind of think back to my basketball playing days. Every time I shot a free throw, right, I had a little routine that I would do to create confidence, to create rhythm and repetition, to change my state and feel really good about making it. And that's exactly what we're cultivating through this. And just from if I'm selling in an email or like in my stories or in the, yeah, in a DM kind of conversation, I just like to do a little internal check. Am I feeling really needy and over aggressive? Am I being curious? Is this rooted in fear, like a need, like I have to have the sale? Or is it like, oh, I'm curious, are they my client? Are they a good fit? What do they need? What's their problem? And typically, when I lean into that side, then the conversation goes super smooth and it comes off very authentic and genuine. And I feel really great about it. So, changing your state doesn't have to be super elaborate. It just has to be intentional. And you always want to know kind of where you're coming from. Okay. Number three, again, these aren't in really any particular order. So, take one from the group and maybe start applying it. But the next thing is I try to sell every week. I do sell every week. And the place to me, I look at selling and filling your client roster as a skill set. And like any skill set, it needs reps to be mastered. And I also want to say there's an art to it because every conversation is unique with someone new. And so it's like if you're hopping on a sales call, you have the script, but the art is listening, leaning in, hearing what they need, being able to point to the things that are unique and specific to them. And so skills only improve with repetition. And that's why, especially if you're early stages or even the first multiple six figures, I love for you to have as many sales calls as possible because it's going to help you get the reps and understand what the natural objections are and how to perfect the art and the skill of selling. But I think of it too as, if I'm a runner, if I run, it's not going to get easier if I just go run one time a month. If you want to improve your running, you want to lower how long it takes you to run the mile, you want it to just feel easier, then you need to go run multiple times a week or every single day. And I believe selling is the same. So for me, what does this look like when I say I sell every week? If you aren't a part of my email list, you should be, because this is where you can learn a lot about selling, but also the places where I can support you of the highest level. But I sell every week to my email list without exception. And this is my favorite place to connect with my audience and sell. And often, you know, I would say 8 out of 10 times it probably doesn't feel too selling. And then there are times where I am very clear and very straight to the point. Because at the end of the day, I love the people on my email list, but my goal is to activate them into clients. If they want to hang around and just absorb and stuff, that's wonderful. But my end goal is to have some sort of offer that I can support them in to get to the thing they want. So the goal of the email list isn't to hang out and just give claps for me. The goal is to activate them into some sort of paid coaching service. So if you don't know how I do this in the email, you definitely should dive into the Premium Client Activator. This is kind of our newest program where I teach you how to get your clients talking back to you within 24 hours. Could be in your email, could be on your social media, LinkedIn, wherever you're talking to clients. But this is a strategy that is one of my favorite things, but I'm selling to my email list and I am getting replies to every email that I put out there. And if you're not, I want to help you do that because it is a really important part of having conversations that lead to clients. One thing that I do, which I'll talk to next, is that I'm selling in my stories. I'm using something in my stories typically at least 4 times a week, if not every day, that is giving some sort of call to action to take a next step. And when I say selling, sometimes it is to a paid offer, but sometimes it's also just a free resource. So people come into my world, they start to get activated, they're nurtured by that free thing, and then they go take steps. And I'll talk more about that in step number 4. But again, the consistency of selling builds confidence. And I think the more you do it, the less scary it becomes. And then you figure out how to make it the most genuine. All right. Step number 4, again, in no particular order, is I like to let the results I'm getting from my clients lead the way for selling. I think that results are the anchor of what you do, and they're the most powerful selling tool you have. And they're already happening for you, I'm guessing, even if they're free clients, beta clients, your friends that you've helped. So, no matter where you're at, if you've worked with someone, you have this. You can story tell it through your eyes. You can share a case study told by you, or you can also use proof from them, from a Facebook group, from posts in your resource libraries, like underneath, I don't know, modules, Voxers, texts that they've literally sent to you that show evidence of your work. What this does is any potential buyer that sees this evidence, which formal or informal as far as, results are concerned, it unconsciously plants a seed that says, "Oh, she is who she says she is. She actually is getting results for real people." And today's day and age, guys, this really matters because there's a lot of people that can act the part but can't actually deliver on it. So I try to grab those things and repurpose them all the time. And you don't have to manufacture anything. I don't want you to. That's not genuine. You can connect what's happening in real time. And so sometimes this will look like, Thursdays are typically my long coaching day. At some point on Thursdays, I try to take a quick selfie and I talk about boom, boom, boom. Here's all the results and the coaching that I did for my clients today. If I have a screenshot that somebody sent me that day or a post somewhere in one of our groups, I'll screenshot it and talk about it. And the cool thing is once you create these, you can hang on to them. So when I build it, then I save it to a little archive, an album that I've created on my phone that says testimonials. And so I can repeat it. It's not going away, right? I may not use the Thursday one because I've already done that, but other examples that are kind of like evergreen testimonials that are a testament to your work, I will use them so I'm not having to start from scratch all the time. And I just keep building new ones and fresh ones and new ones from newer clients that share things over and over. So if you're newer, don't get stuck because you don't have these paid client results yet. Non-paying clients, beta clients, friends, all those things, those results count too. And I believe you're absolutely allowed to reshare a testimonial multiple times. Your work doesn't expire. And trust me, people aren't seeing it all the time. They're busy, their lives are busy. So I think it's really key. So I love creating kind of those templates and repurposing them. I also have built my own templates in Canva for some of like my freebies and stuff that tell stories so that, especially for instance, on the weekends where I know I'm way less present on social, I can pull one of those templates out and it just helps me not overthink anything. So from this piece, it's just the learning that your client wins are your best marketing. So collect them like their currency and then just use them to naturally say, hey, this person got this result. If you want to talk about having this result to yourself, book a call with me or learn more here or reply back results or whatever the case is and give some sort of call to action. And then you can definitely pull this right into your emails as well. Again, if you're on my email list, you see me all the time putting in screenshots from testimonials and sharing case studies. We get them every week into our inbox of a student in the program or on calls talking about those things. So I'm really intentional about making sure I snag them. Okay, and number 5 thing that I like to do is one of the biggest things for me, that I think makes selling heavy is when every single sales moment carries, like, everything about your worth as a woman, as a business owner. So, when you sell every day, then what happens is it's not like the sales call that said no all of a sudden ruined your entire week and you crumble into pieces because I've been there, done that. Or this is another reason I personally don't like an entire business that rides on one big launch during the year because if it doesn't go as you've planned, then for me, it feels like a lot of pressure. So I like selling consistently, having an evergreen methodology to sell. It's supplement, it builds a foundation on top of the live launches that I do in the spring and the fall consistently. So when you sell every day, no single post, email, or call becomes the make or break, right? The volume of sales relieves the pressure. And I like that. Not everyone is going to buy, not everyone is supposed to buy. And when I realized personally that my grip on needing a specific person to say yes, selling just like got so much easier. I just was able to really lean into the belief like, if they're for me, they'll come back. Right. And I also believe that there's like a bigger vision. So I feel protected now sometimes when there isn't a client like, ooh, okay, I was being protected from some sort of red flag or energetic leak there. And so I don't push it. And for me, this is what trusting the process of building a business and learning to surrender. I mean, this is very spiritual for me. It's just the full belief that there is something bigger on the way consistently. So no's begin to feel a lot lighter and less attached because my value as a coach and as a person doesn't wax and wane with yeses and nos as sales. And the more detached from that the more personal attachment I have to the dollar amount, the more stressful my business is or was. And I can tell you now, I've been doing that work for like 3 years, and this is the most free I've ever felt in business and light. And it is beautiful. And I want that for you too. And so the way you're going to have that though is by reps of leaning into selling and seeing how it impacts you and being in community where we can have these realistic conversations because I don't want you to run away from selling because I know you're here, you're brilliant, you want to serve, you want to impact lives, you're great at what you do. And being a salesperson is part of that process. And when you can lean into it and make it genuine and authentic on your own, the sky's the limit for what the next steps are going to be. So again, here's the 5 kind of things that I feel like I do in order to make selling feel effortless. First, the foundation, the mindset reframe, changing your state, selling consistently, using results to kind of drive that ship, and then being detached from the individual yes all the time. I mean, the reality is none of these are super complicated, but simple always doesn't mean easy, especially number one. But you're still working on the reframe for years and years to come. And again, 2 ways that I can support you are one, the premium client activation accelerator is a place where I can help you really know what to say to sell, what to put in those emails, and how to go deeper with your clients so they're literally just like, yes, that's me. I need you. And if you're ready to, take your business to a full roster and be in the community of people who are doing the same, then Best Damn Coach is definitely a place that I would love to support you. Both those links are in the show notes. Email me at support@amanda-walker.com or hang out with me over on Instagram at awalkmyway. If you heard both those options and you're not sure what's the best fit, just shoot me a message. I'm happy to give you personal direction or visit both of the links in this episode's show notes. So, again, thank you for being here. And I want you to really view selling as an opportunity to deliver at the highest service possible, the solution that I know that people out there need from you. And if you feel like this episode was a great support for you, then please share it with a friend, drop it in a coaching group that you're a part of. Just send me a note, let me know it resonated, screenshot it. I just want to know that you can take one of these things and put them into play, and make selling feel lighter for you after today's episode. So thank you for being here. I am so grateful. And until next week, Go coach them up.